Now on Wednesday it is National Stress Awareness Day, and National Stress Awareness Day gives us a chance to actually stand back and look at what stress is and understand what it is. And by the way, before the end of this video you'll probably hear some horrendous drilling noises. This is my personal test for stress. There's been building work going on right outside my window all week. Unfortunately I've got no choice but to record this video right now, and if the drilling comes in, apologies. So National Stress Awareness Day, and actually a report has just been released called the Thriving at Work report, looking at stress and mental health at work, and the statistics are horrible. 75% of the workforce have stress related issues. 75%, which, given that companies actually have a legal responsibility to protect their employees from work-related stress, that's horrific. Companies need to step up. It'll be in their interest, as you'll see later, but we have to change stress at work, and that is what National Stress Awareness Day is primarily about. The report also highlights that we lose 11 million working days a year at a cost to the economy, to the UK economy, a cost of £99 billion a year is lost through mental health issues. And 300,000 people a year have to leave their jobs because of longer term mental health issues. The situation is horrific, which is why it's great that something like National Stress Awareness Day, and indeed recently we had World Mental Health Awareness Day as well. These are critical things that highlight the need to talk about things. So the first thing I want to do, I want to cover three aspects with regard to stress. The first one is indeed about visibility, because as we can talk more about stress, it becomes more of a regular activity to admit that you've got stress and talk about it. The quicker we can do that and actually share our issues with our friends, for example, perhaps with a boss, which we need to do if we're stressed at work, and it isn't shameful anymore, then actually that will take the wind out of stress getting worse. It's when we bottle it up and it's shameful, we have to hide it, and that's when it gets worse and more difficult to treat. So the visibility aspect of the ability to talk about stress is crucial, and that has to start happening in companies. At the moment there are too many people that feel they can't admit they've got a stress problem because they think it will affect their career. That is a mindset that has to change within companies. So the shame has to go. Number one, visibility. Number two, in our understanding of stress for National Stress Awareness Day, number two is actually understanding what stress actually is. Stress is a signal from our system telling us that our life's not working. It's a signal telling us that we're living at least part of our life in a way that doesn't make us happy. And since we spend 65 to 80% of our waking life at work, that's where, for most of us, that's where a lot of the issues are. Stress, therefore, is not to be managed. Stress management is not a solution. You may have to manage it in the short term while you make the changes that you need to make. That is what stress is telling you. Change something in your life. If you don't change it and you try to manage it, it will only get worse, because ultimately you cannot, in the longer term, manage stress. Stress is telling you to change something. And number three, I'm going to give you a quick lesson in brain chemistry. And in a sense, this is a stress management technique, except it shouldn't be a technique, it should be a way of living. You see, the mind, or the brain rather, is more like Usain Bolt than it is like Mo Farah. Let me explain. The brain is a sprinter, it is not a marathon runner. What actually happens is the brain can focus incredibly well for about 40 to 50 minutes at a time. There goes the drilling. 40 to 50 minutes at a time. Then we have to take a rest, and during that rest, maybe only 10 minutes, what happens is the brain flips over and puts all of the studying, all the information you've just taken in over the last 40 to 50 minutes, puts it into long-term memory. Then, after 10 minutes, you can go back and you can concentrate again for another 40 to 50 minutes. This is a sprint, it's not a marathon. We should be taking regular breaks through the day. So that old thing you see in films about meeting at the water filter, and actually that's a good thing. A 5 or 10 minute chat with a colleague at the water filter is a brilliant thing to do. We should take a brief rest at least once an hour. Now the critical rest is lunchtime. Now when I first started work, let me think, about 30 plus years ago, everybody took an hour off for lunch. In fact, if you didn't take a lunch break, the assumption was you weren't coping with your workload. And yet the whole thing's flipped. Now we spend 8 or 10 hours a day or more sat at our desk at a computer, and we don't take a rest. We don't take that 5-minute rest, and we don't take a lunch break. Therefore, in order to keep us trying to focus, we have to release adrenaline and cortisol. We have to keep ourselves fully alert, which of course is the fight or flight mechanism. So if you are sitting for 8 to 10 hours a day at your desk, trying to force yourself to focus, you are putting yourself, your system, into the fight or flight mechanism. And when it gets really bad, we get really stressed, our productivity can drop by as much as 40%. And also creative thinking, which is what a lot of us have to do in our work, gets completely killed, stone dead. Because if you think about it, if you're about to survive, there's a saber-toothed tiger in front of you, there's no good getting all creative about how you might escape. You've just got to take action and escape. And that is what we're putting ourselves into 8 to 10 hours a day. So honestly, what you should do is take a lunch break every single day. And the statistics are, and I think these are low personally, it is scientifically proven if you take 30 to 60 minutes of gentle exercise, i.e. walking for example, at lunchtime, preferably outside in a green space in a park or whatever, if you do that, your performance will be raised by 15%. Your cognitive ability will be raised by 15% just by taking that lunch break. And the point actually is that half hour you will get back in the afternoon and the evening immediately because you're working more efficiently. You haven't lost that time at all, and that's how we think. So, number one piece of advice, take a lunch break every day, get outside, get some vitamin D. Seriously, that is life-changing. And indeed, some of my clients, particularly from the city, have done precisely that one simple step, and it's fundamentally changed their working lives.